Hey everybody, g'day, welcome back to What I Fix Daily. And today we have a iPhone 6. It's come in, it doesn't charge, but the key symptom here is that the person said that they have to push in their charger to make it work, and it's just been becoming more and more difficult. So with them telling me that it's more and more difficult and they're having to push it in, does make me think it's most likely a common fault, which is that junk builds up inside the port. So what we're going to do is we'll plug this in and see what we get initially. Okay, plug in, and immediately we can see that there's about a good 1.5 mm clearance there, and on the device of power transfer we've got 0. So if we try pushing it in a bit, and immediately we go up to full charge. Alright, so that pretty much clarifies, and if I look inside there I can see a degree of junk. Now, that's the easy part. What often goes wrong is when people try to clean these ports out. Now, when you want to clean one of these lightning ports out, the trick I like to do is take a toothpick, just a bamboo toothpick, take your sharp knife, and then you just slice about half of it off, the thickness, until you're left with one flat side and one sort of convex side. You take your port and you just start slide it in. So you get in there, keep away from running over the pins if you can, because you really don't want to knock those off. And here we go, this is like Dr. Pimple Poppers. Oh, look at that junk come out of it. Now, the reason why we use the bamboo, of course, is it doesn't really have much of a chance of damaging even well, certainly not the metal, and likely not the plastic. This one just keeps coming on out. Don't use any liquids in here, particularly when it's dirty. If you use liquids in there, it will just turn that dust into basically into sort of a scum, and it will get in and underneath the pins and cause a lot of issues. Once it's clean, once you can see it's visually clean, then you can go in with just isopropylene and you should be able to get that cleared out. Okay, just give it a bit more of a tap. This one isn't too bad actually, even though it seemed bad. So let's see if we go again. Okay, we've still got a gap there of about 1 mil, so we've got something thicker in there, so we have to keep at it. Often what can happen is there are multiple layers of compressed junk in there. So you'll be able to get one layer out and then the next one will be waiting. Okay, let's try now. It's a little better, but there's still something else in there. Try aim for the corners, the back corners, because that's often where the worst is. You'll find even if you can see the back faceplate quite clearly, the corners will still potentially have junk build up in them. You may have to reshave your toothpick down a couple of times, that's okay. Okay, let's see how we go this time. Clean that off. look like we have success finally. The other thing you want to check is once you've got it working, at least in one direction, if you've got a lightning cable, flip it over and try again. And you should get the same result on both sides. Now if you're doing this as a shop, I'll leave it up to you whether you choose to charge a customer for this sort of thing. If it comes in and it's just a normal repair with, say, a broken screen and you're doing a general inspection, then I would be disinclined to charge people. You have to consider sometimes these jobs are like when you do hard drive recoveries, where all you have to, your machine is dead but the drive itself is fine. All you're doing effectively is copying data off an existing good drive onto a new system. A lot of people will sort of question the ethics of charging $100 for something like that, but you have to factor in the situation whereby many times there is secondary support that comes into all this and you definitely don't get paid for that. So it's a statistics game. You win some, you generally lose a lot. So don't feel bad about charging for these sort of jobs if it's just this job you're doing. You're the one that had to know where to look, and you're the one that had to know the process to take so that you wouldn't damage the phone and so you wouldn't waste time. Because remember, there are a lot of people who will use metal implements into this sort of thing or try and wash it out. And if you do one of those processes, you will most likely damage the charge port, which will then mean you have to replace the charge port, which is a whole lot more money and inconvenience for the customer. Keep an eye on the charge rate if you do have a meter that can report it. So you'll notice we're down to 777, which is a little low considering it's only put 53 in so far and that this phone is flat. My idea would be that the battery is probably a little bit tired on this, and henceforth I'll recommend to the customer at some point in the future that they get it replaced, because really that should be staying 800 to 900 until it gets to about 250 to 400 milliamp hour transferred. So it seems like even with 322 in it, it's not coming back up, and I can feel it's quite warm. So I'm going to guess that the battery itself is cactus and is going to need replacing in addition. And if I look closely on the side here, there is a very fractional amount of push up on that. So it's charge port failure combined with battery failure. Oh well, always good to test these things. Alright, so I opened it up and it's definitely a battery failure. And some screws missing too. So you can see on here there's all sorts of like liquidy type look, and we even have a screw here that's come off loose from somewhere, and looks like that's lifted up slightly. So she's taken a bit of a beating. There's another screw down here, but I can see we have two missing up here, so that's probably where they came from. My guess is it took a knock, one of the screws rattled down, landed somewhere along here, perhaps sort of bit into the battery a little bit somewhere. I can see right here there's an impact and then there's a bit of a pimpling effect on the side, and I just noticed we've got another screw missing there. Interestingly, the screen didn't crack. Well, nice job. So we'll get that fixed up and this customer should hopefully be just fine. Alright, so we've changed the battery, we've put the screws back, and that was quite a bit of a mess in there, and the phone is looking good again. It's actually booting up. We've got 15% charge on there, which means we probably should see close to maximum when we plug it. And there we go. So we've got 950 odd, 900. Once the screen stops showing up, it will drop down a bit. So we'll just force that off like that. So we're sitting on 900, and like I said, we're at 15% charge. So that's why when it was charging before and it was dropping down 700, 600 and it still hadn't booted. That gave me the suspicion that the battery was going to be faulty. So after a while of doing iPhone batteries and charging replacements, you do get to notice these patterns. So it seems like we're good to go. Customers are going to be charged a little extra for that, just simply because we had to put a new battery in there. And at least they'll be now right for another couple of years. So, okay, so that's everything. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll catch you next time.